When did you realize you married a gold digger? I dropped my keys on the counter and felt the exhaustion sink into my bones. 2 shifts back to back, 14 hours on my feet, and the apartment was dark except for the blue glow coming from the couch. She didn't look up when I walked in. Hey, I said. Hey, her thumb kept scrolling. I kicked off my work boots and left them by the door. The kitchen sink was full of dishes from this morning, from yesterday morning actually, and the trash bag was overflowing again. I'd take it out later. Right now, I just wanted to sit down. How was work? She asked, still not looking at me. Long, busy, the usual. I pulled a drink from the fridge, the last one, and sat down in the chair across from her. She was wearing the sweatpants I'd bought her last month, the ones she said were too cheap but kept anyway. Her hair was up in a messy bun, and her face had that blank expression she got when she'd been on her phone for hours. Payday tomorrow, I said, trying to sound upbeat. That got her attention. She looked up, just for a second, then went back to scrolling. Good. Rent's due. I know. And the car insurance. She sighed like I'd said something wrong. It's just tight, you know. We never have anything left over. I took a long drink and didn't answer. We both knew why there was nothing left over. The new throw pillows, the candles that cost more than groceries, the subscription boxes she forgot to cancel. I was looking at some stuff online, she said, turning her phone toward me. The screen showed a purse, sleek and leather with a price tag that made my chest tighten. It's on sale. That's still $200, but it's on sale. It's usually $400. We can't afford $400 or $200 right now. She pulled the phone back and scrolled again, her mouth tightening. You always say that, because it's always true. Other people manage. Other people get nice things. I set the beer down on the side table, too tired to argue. Other people have 2 incomes. I've told you, jobs just aren't for me. I'm not good at that stuff. I get anxious. Everyone gets anxious. Not like me. She said it like it was final, like it explained everything. Then she turned her phone toward me again, a different screen this time. A whole list of items, saved in a cart, waiting. If you love me, why can't you just get me something nice? Just once. Something that shows you care. I stared at the list. Makeup, shoes, a weighted blanket, a coffee table we didn't need. Little things that added up to more than I'd make this week. Maybe next week, too. I do care, I said quietly. Then prove it. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized she wasn't joking. She wasn't being dramatic. She genuinely believed that love came with a receipt, that caring meant spending, that I was failing her every time I said no. I work 2 jobs, I said. I know, and I appreciate it, but we still never have anything. I picked up the beer again and finished it in one long swallow. The fridge hummed in the silence. Somewhere down the hall, a neighbor's TV played too loud. She went back to scrolling. Her face lit up in that cold blue glow, and I sat there in the dark, wondering when love stopped being enough on its own. The next paycheck came and went. Rent cleared. Car insurance cleared. Groceries, utilities, the minimum payment on the credit card I'd been carrying since last winter. By the time Friday rolled around, my account had $43 left in it, and I still had a week to go before the next check. She was waiting when I got home that night. Did you get paid? She asked before I'd even closed the door. Yeah. Can we go out this weekend? Just something small. Dinner. Maybe a movie. I set my bag down and pulled off my jacket. We can't really afford that right now. Her face fell. Not sad, just disappointed. Like I'd let her down again. We never do anything. I know. I'm sorry. Things are just tight. They're always tight. I didn't have an answer for that. She went back to the couch, back to her phone, and I stood there in the doorway feeling like I'd failed some test I didn't know I was taking. The weekend came anyway. She didn't mention dinner again, didn't bring up the movie. Instead, a package showed up Saturday morning, then another one Sunday. I saw the boxes stacked by the door when I got back from my weekend shift at the warehouse, the one I'd picked up to cover the gap. What's all this? I asked. She looked up from the couch, smiling for the first time in days. Just some stuff I ordered. It was all on sale. How much? Not that much. Don't worry about it. But I did worry about it. I worried about it when I checked my account Monday morning and saw the charges. 3 separate purchases. None of them small. My balance had gone from $43 to -$62. I called the bank. Overdraft fees. They explained it calmly, like it happened all the time, like it was just another part of life. $35 per transaction. I'd have to deposit enough to cover the negative balance plus the fees before they'd let me use the card again. When I got home that night, she was sitting at the kitchen table, her new purchases spread out in front of her. A blender, a set of candles that smelled like lavender and cost more than my work boots, a decorative tray I didn't understand the purpose of. We need to talk, I said. She looked up, still smiling. Do you like them? I thought the tray would look good on the coffee table. The account's overdrawn. Her smile faded. What? The bank charged us overdraft fees. We're in the red. She blinked at me like I'd just spoken another language. How is that my fault? You're the one who handles the money. You spent money we didn't have. It was on the card. If it went through, that means we had it. I stood there, trying to find the words that would make her understand, but they wouldn't come. She went back to arranging the candles on the tray, her hands moving slowly, deliberately, like she was setting a stage. You need to learn how to budget better, she said without looking up. I need to budget better? Yeah, other people make it work. I don't know why you can't. I left the room before I said something I'd regret. Went to the bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. My phone buzzed. A text from my boss asking if I could pick up another shift Thursday. I said yes before I'd even thought about it. The days started blurring together after that. I'd leave before she woke up and come home after she'd gone to bed. When we did see each other, the conversations were short, functional. She'd ask if I'd paid something. I'd say yes. She'd nod and go back to her phone. One night, I came home and found her taking pictures in the kitchen. The new blender was on the counter, surrounded by fresh fruit and a glass of something green and thick. She had her phone angled just right, catching the light from the window. What are you doing? I asked. posting. People love this stuff. I watched her type out a caption. Something about self-care and treating yourself and how everyone deserves nice things. She added a string of emojis and hit share. You didn't mention where the blender came from, I said. She looked at me like I'd asked something ridiculous. Why would I? Because I paid for it. So, it's not like I'm lying. I do deserve nice things. I opened the fridge. It was almost empty. A carton of eggs, some wilted lettuce, a bottle of ketchup. When's the last time you went to the store? I don't know. A few days ago? We don't have any food. Then go get some. I closed the fridge and stood there, feeling the weight of it all pressing down. The empty shelves, the overdraft fees, the packages that kept arriving, the pictures she kept posting, the way she looked at me like I was the problem, like I was the one who didn't understand how life worked. I'm tired, I said. So am I. Of what? She set her phone down, finally looking at me. Of this. Of never having anything. Of living like we're broke all the time. We are broke because you don't know how to manage money. I felt something shift in my chest. Not anger, exactly. Something colder. I work 2 jobs, and we still have nothing. We have a roof. We have electricity. We have a car that runs. Barely. That's more than nothing. She picked up her phone again, her face already turning away. If you say so. I left the kitchen and went to sit in the chair by the window, the one I'd bought at a thrift store because it was all we could afford. Outside, the streetlights buzzed and flickered. A car drove past, music thumping from the windows. Somewhere in the building, someone laughed. She stayed in the kitchen, posting pictures of a life that didn't exist, and I stayed in the chair, wondering when exactly everything had broken and why I was the only one who seemed to notice. The necklace had been an impulse. I'd spotted it at the discount store during my lunch break, tucked between clearance bins and marked down to $12. Silver-plated, with a small pendant shaped like a heart. Nothing fancy, but it caught the light in a way that reminded me of how she used to smile back when things were different. I brought it home wrapped in tissue paper, the receipt folded in my pocket in case she wanted to exchange it. She was on the couch when I walked in, scrolling through her phone with that distant look she'd perfected over the past few months. Hey, I said, I got you something. She glanced up, mildly interested. What is it? I handed her the small package. She unwrapped it slowly, pulling the necklace free from the tissue. For a second, I thought I saw something soften in her expression. Then she held it up to the light, turning it over in her fingers. It's cute, she said. Yeah? She set it down on the coffee table. It looks kinda cheap, though. The words landed like a stone. It was on clearance. I thought you'd like it. I do, it's just... She picked it up again, studying the clasp. The chain's really thin. It'll probably break. I can take it back if you want. Get something else. She shook her head, already reaching for her phone. No, it's fine. Thanks. But it wasn't fine. I could see it in the way she left it sitting there, untouched, while she went back to scrolling. The next day, it was still on the table. And the day after that, it had migrated to the kitchen counter, buried under junk mail and grocery store flyers. I picked up an extra shift that week, then another. The diner needed someone to cover mornings, and the warehouse had overtime available on Saturdays. I said yes to both without hesitation, already calculating how much I could save if I just pushed a little harder, worked a little longer. She noticed when I started leaving earlier. Where are you going? Diner shift. I picked up some morning hours. Why? We need the money. She frowned. We always need money. That's not new. I know. I'm trying to fix that. By never being here? I didn't know how to answer that. She looked at me like I'd made a choice against her, like working more was some kind of betrayal instead of the only solution I could think of. I'm doing this for us, I said. Right. She went back to her phone and I left for the diner, arriving 20 minutes early because sitting at home felt worse than being tired. The morning shifts were brutal. Up at 4, out the door by 4:30, slinging eggs and coffee until noon, then straight to the warehouse for the afternoon, unloading trucks and stacking pallets until my shoulders burned and my hands went numb. By the time I got home each night, she was already planted on the couch, the TV playing something I'd never seen before, her phone glowing in her lap. How was work? She'd ask without looking up. Fine. Did you eat? Not yet. There's leftovers in the fridge, but there usually weren't. Or if there were, they were something she'd ordered and picked at, leaving me the scraps. I'd heat them up anyway, eating standing at the counter because sitting down meant admitting how exhausted I was. One night she asked if I could pick up dinner on my way home. Something good, not fast food. Like what? I don't know, surprise me. I stopped at a place she used to like, the one with the pasta dishes and the breadsticks she'd always asked for extra of. The bill came to $32. I paid with the card and drove home trying not to think about the balance. When I walked in, she was on the couch in the same spot she'd been that morning. I set the bag on the coffee table. What did you get? She asked. That pasta place, the one you like. She opened the bag, pulling out the containers. Oh, I was kind of hoping for something different. You said to surprise you? I know, I just had pasta for lunch. I stood there holding my jacket, feeling something crack inside me. When did you have pasta for lunch? I ordered it. Why? From where? The same place. I didn't know you were going to get it for dinner. I looked at the containers on the table, then at her, then at the phone in her hand. You ordered lunch from the same place I just bought dinner from. Yeah, so? So we just spent $60 on pasta. She shrugged. I didn't know you were going to get it. You should have texted. I didn't say anything, just walked to the bedroom and closed the door, sitting on the edge of the bed with my head in my hands. Through the wall, I could hear the TV, the canned laughter from whatever show she was watching. The weeks folded into each other. More shifts, more hours, more exhaustion. She kept ordering things. A new lamp because the old one was depressing. A set of throw pillows because the couch needed color. A subscription box that showed up every month filled with things we didn't need and couldn't afford. It's only $20 a month, she said when I asked about it. That's $240 a year. Okay, and you spend money on gas and food. That's different. How? I didn't have an answer that would satisfy her. Every conversation felt like walking through a minefield. Every question a trap I couldn't avoid. She started making comments comments about other people. Friends from high school who'd gotten married, bought houses, taken vacations. Remember Chelsea? She just got back from Hawaii. Posted all these pictures. It looked amazing. Good for her. Don't you ever want to do something like that? Sure, when we can afford it. We could afford it if you made more money. The words came out casual, like she was commenting on the weather. I looked up from my phone, where I'd been checking the bank balance for the third time that day. I'm working as much as I can. Other people figure it out. I don't know why it's so hard for you. I felt something cold settle in my chest. What do you want me to do? I don't know. Get a better job. Ask for a raise. Something. I've asked for a raise. They said no. Then find somewhere that'll pay you more. I'm trying. She sighed, the sound heavy with disappointment. Are you though? I left the room before I said something I couldn't take back. Went to the bathroom and stood at the sink staring at my reflection. The man looking back at me was someone I barely recognized. Thinner, older, exhausted in a way that sleep couldn't fix. When I came back out, she was taking pictures again. The new lamp, the throw pillows, the arrangement she'd spent an hour perfecting. Her phone clicked and she smiled at the screen, typing out another caption about gratitude and abundance and living your best life. I sat in the chair by the window and watched her, wondering when exactly I'd stopped being a person to her and started being a paycheck that never stretched far enough. Can you move? She asked. You're in the shot. I stood up and walked to the bedroom, closing the door quietly behind me. Through the wall, I heard her laugh at something on her phone. The sound bright and careless, like everything was exactly the way it should be. The grocery run was supposed to be quick. Milk, bread, something for dinner that didn't require much thought. I'd been up since 4, worked the diner shift, clocked 6 hours at the warehouse, and now it was almost 8 at night, and I hadn't eaten since the stale bagel I'd grabbed at noon. The store was nearly empty, just a few stragglers pushing carts through the fluorescent aisles. I grabbed the basics, added a rotisserie chicken because cooking felt impossible, and headed to the register. The total came to $43. I swiped the card. The machine beeped. Try it again, the cashier said, not unkindly. I swiped it again. Same beep. She looked at the screen, then at me, and I saw something shift in her expression. Pity, maybe, or just recognition of a situation she'd seen too many times before. Do you have another card? Let me check the balance real quick. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking slightly as I logged into the banking app. The screen loaded slowly, each second stretching out while the people behind me in line shifted their weight and checked their watches. Balance, 8/12/47. I stared at the number, trying to make sense of it. There should have been more. I'd gotten paid 3 days ago, deposited the check myself. But the transaction history told a different story. DoorDash, Amazon, that subscription box, the pasta place, twice in 1 week. A charge from some boutique I'd never heard of for $73. I'm sorry, I said to the cashier. I can't. No problem. Happens all the time. But it didn't feel like no problem. It felt like standing in the middle of a brightly lit store, holding groceries I couldn't afford, while strangers watched me put everything back on the shelves. The chicken, the bread, the milk, all of it back in someone else's hands, while I walked out empty. The drive home took 15 minutes. I spent all of them trying to figure out what I was going to say, how I was going to explain that we had $8 until my next paycheck, which wasn't for another 4 days, that I'd worked 70 hours in the past week and somehow we were still broke. She was in the kitchen when I walked in, leaning against the counter with her phone in one hand and a glass of wine in the other. The bottle sat next to her, half empty. I didn't remember buying wine. Where's dinner? She asked without looking up. I couldn't get it. What do you mean you couldn't get it? The card declined. She looked up then, her expression shifting from bored to annoyed in the space of a breath. What? The card declined. We don't have any money. How do you not have any money? You just got paid. I know, but it's gone. She set the wine glass down hard enough that I heard it crack against the granite. Gone where? Rent, bills, food, everything else. That's not possible. You're lying. I'm not lying. Check the account yourself. She grabbed her phone, fingers moving fast across the screen. I watched her face as she scrolled through the transactions, waiting for the moment when she'd see it, when she'd realize that most of those charges were hers. But that moment never came. This is ridiculous, she said. You're supposed to handle this stuff. I am handling it. I'm working 2 jobs. Then work harder. The words hung in the air between us, sharp and clean. I felt something in my chest tighten, then release, like a knot coming undone. Work harder, I repeated. Yeah, other men figure it out. They don't come home making excuses about declined cards and empty accounts. Other men don't have wives who spend $70 on clothes they don't need. Her eyes narrowed. Don't you dare blame this on me. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm stating a fact. The fact is you can't provide. That's the problem. Provide what? I'm paying for everything. The rent, the utilities, the car, the insurance, the food you order every single day. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what a man does. And what are you supposed to do? She stared at me like I'd asked something obscene. Excuse me? What are you contributing? Besides spending money we don't have, I contribute plenty. I take care of this place. I looked around the kitchen. Dishes piled in the sink. Mail scattered across the counter. The trash overflowing because neither of us had taken it out in 3 days. Right, I said. Don't you look at me like that. You think it's easy being here all day? You think I don't get lonely while you're out there acting like some kind of martyr? I'm not acting like anything. I'm trying to keep us afloat. Well, you're doing a terrible job. The words landed like a slap. I stood there, keys still in my hand, jacket still on, trying to find something to say that wouldn't make this worse. But everything felt worse. Every word, every breath, every second I spent standing in this kitchen pretending we were still something worth saving. You know what your problem is? She continued, warming to the topic now. You're lazy. You act like working 2 jobs is some kind of achievement, but plenty of people work 2 jobs and still manage to take care of their families. still manage to buy nice things and go on trips and not whine about every little purchase. Those people probably have partners who help. I help. How? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. I don't have to explain myself to you. You're the one who can't even buy groceries because you spent all the money on things we needed. We needed a $70 shirt from a boutique. It was on sale. From what, 140? She grabbed the wine glass, drained what was left, and poured another. Her hands were shaking slightly, but her voice stayed steady. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. No, you're being cheap. There's a difference. I took off my jacket, hung it on the back of the chair, and sat down. My legs ached from standing all day, my back hurt from lifting boxes, and my head throbbed with the kind of exhaustion that sleep never quite fixed. I can't do this anymore, I said quietly. Do what? This, any of this. She laughed, sharp and bitter. Oh, here we go. The big dramatic moment. What are you going to do, leave me? Go ahead. See how far you get on $8. I'd probably get further than I'm getting now. The laughter stopped. She set the glass down, slower this time, and looked at me with something I couldn't quite read. Anger, maybe, or fear disguised as anger. You don't mean that, she said. I don't know what I mean anymore. You're just tired. You'll feel different tomorrow. Will I? Because I've been tired for months and nothing's changed. If anything, it's gotten worse. That's not my fault. I never said it was. Yes, you did. You're blaming me for everything. The money, the bills, all of it. I'm not blaming you. I'm asking you to help. I told you I can't work. Jobs just aren't for me. Then what is for you? Besides spending money we don't have? The words should have hurt. They were designed to hurt. But instead, I felt something else. Something like relief. Maybe you should have, I said. She stared at me, waiting for me to take it back, waiting for the apology she'd trained me to give every time things got uncomfortable. But I didn't say anything, just sat there looking at her, realizing that I'd been apologizing for months for things that weren't my fault. Fine, she said finally. If that's how you feel, it is. She grabbed her phone and her wine and walked out of the kitchen. I heard her footsteps on the stairs, the bedroom door slamming shut. The house settled into silence, broken only by the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic outside. I sat at the table for a long time, staring at nothing. The clock on the microwave said 9:15. In 7 hours, I'd have to be up for the diner shift. After that, the warehouse. Then home again to this same kitchen, this same conversation, this same slow erosion of everything I'd thought I was building. My phone buzzed. A text from my boss at the warehouse asking if I could cover Sunday. Double time because of the holiday weekend. I typed back yes before I could think about it. Another shift. Another day of not being here. It felt less like work and more like escape. The text came through while I was still sitting at the table. My mother, asking if we wanted to come to dinner Sunday. Family thing. Nothing formal. I read it twice, then set the phone face down on the table. Sunday was the shift I'd just agreed to cover. Double time. Money we needed more than pot roast and small talk. But for a moment, I let myself imagine it. Sitting at her table, eating food someone else cooked, not thinking about how much it cost or whether we could afford it. Just existing in a space where people asked how you were and meant it. I heard movement upstairs. The bedroom door opening, footsteps in the hallway. She appeared at the top of the stairs, still holding her wine glass. I'm going to bed, she announced. Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say? She came down 3 steps, stopped, leaned against the railing. I want you to act like you care. I'm too tired to act like anything. See, that's your problem. You're always too tired, too busy, too stressed. When was the last time you actually paid attention to me? I looked at her, really looked. The wine glass in her hand, the shirt she'd bought last week that she'd worn exactly once, the nails she'd gotten done at the salon while I was at work, $50 I'd found out about when the charge came through. I pay attention, I said. No, you pay bills, that's different. Someone has to. And there it is again, the martyr routine. It's not a routine, it's reality. She finished the wine, set the glass on the step beside her. You know what I think? I think you like being miserable. It gives you something to hold over me. I don't want to hold anything over you. Then stop acting like everything's my fault. I never said it was your fault. You don't have to say it. It's in every look, every sigh, every time you check the bank account like I'm some kind of criminal. You spent $73 on a shirt, and you're never going to let me forget it, are you? I'm just stating facts. No, you're keeping score. That's what you do. You count every dollar, every purchase, every single thing I do wrong, and then you throw it back at me when you want to win an argument. I stood up, not quickly, not dramatically, just stood, because sitting felt like agreement, and I was done agreeing with things that weren't true. I'm going to bed too, I said. Of course you are. Run away. That's what you're good at. I'm not running. I'm tired. You're always tired. Because I work 2 jobs. Because you choose to. Nobody's making you. The words should have landed harder. Maybe a week ago they would have. But standing there in the kitchen with the dishes still piled in the sink and the trash still overflowing and the empty grocery bags still in my car, I felt something shift. Not anger, not even frustration. Just a kind of clarity that made everything else seem very far away. You're right, I said. She blinked. What? Nobody's making me. I choose to. Finally, an admission. But I'm choosing for both of us, not just me. That's what marriage is it? Because from where I'm standing it feels pretty one-sided. Her expression changed. Something defensive creeping in around the edges. I do plenty. Like what? I take care of the house. I looked at the kitchen again. She followed my gaze, saw what I was seeing, and her jaw tightened. I was going to do the dishes tomorrow. You said that yesterday. Because I was busy yesterday. Doing what? Things I had things to do. What things? Why do I have to account for every second of my day? You don't? But if you're going to tell me you contribute, I'd like to know how. She came down the rest of the stairs, crossed the kitchen, stood close enough that I could smell the wine on her breath. You want to know what I contribute? I'm here, every day, waiting for you to come home, waiting for you to have time for me, waiting for you to remember that you have a wife who needs things. Attention, affection, nice things sometimes instead of this constant stress about money. We don't have money for nice things. We would if if you made more. There it was. The thing she'd been circling around for months, finally said out loud. Not my fault for spending. My fault for not earning enough to cover the spending. I make enough, I said quietly. More than enough for 2 people to live on. Barely. That's because of the spending. Oh my God, we're back to this. We never left it. This is the whole conversation. This is the whole problem. The problem is you're cheap. The problem is you're careless. She stepped back like I'd pushed her. Careless? With money, with my time, with everything. How dare you? It's true. You're calling me careless? Me? I'm the one who's here every day in this house by myself while you're out there playing the hero. I'm the one who has to deal with being alone, being broke, being married to someone who can't even afford groceries. I could afford groceries if the account wasn't empty. Then put more money in it. There is no more money. There's what I make and what you spend, and the gap between them keeps getting wider. So make more. How? She threw her hands up. I don't know. That's your job to figure out. Other men do it. Other men take care of their wives without all this drama. Then maybe you should find one of them. The words came out before I could stop them. Not angry, not cruel, just true. She stared at me, waiting for me to take it back, to apologize, to stumble over myself explaining that I didn't mean it. But I didn't say anything, just stood there, looking at her, feeling something settle in my chest that felt almost like peace. You don't mean that, she said finally. I think I do. You're just upset. I'm exhausted. There's a difference. So what? You want a divorce? Is that what this is? I want to stop having this same fight every single day. Then stop bringing it up. I bring it up because it's real, because we're drowning and you won't even admit there's water. We're not drowning. You're being dramatic. We have $8 in the bank. That's temporary. It's every week, every paycheck, gone before it even clears. She crossed her arms, leaned against the counter. The defensive posture of someone who knew they were losing ground, but wouldn't concede. So what do you want me to do? Stop eating? Stop buying clothes? Stop existing? I want you to get a job. I told you jobs aren't for me. Why not? Because they're not. I've tried. It doesn't work. You tried once for 3 weeks. It was a terrible fit. Every job is going to be a terrible fit if you don't want to work. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? I've worked 70 hours this week. I've paid every bill, bought every meal, covered every expense while you sit here drinking wine and telling me I'm not doing enough. I never said you weren't doing enough. You just told me to work harder. Because you should. Because that's what you do when you're struggling. You push through. I am pushing through. I've been pushing through for months, but I can't push hard enough to cover both of us. She looked away, out the window at the dark street beyond. You're being mean. I'm being honest. It's the same thing. No, it's not. We stood there in the quiet kitchen, the space between us feeling wider than it ever had. The refrigerator hummed. A car passed outside. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked once and fell silent. I think you should leave, she said quietly. This is my house. Our house. My name on the lease. My money paying the rent. Her eyes flashed. So that's how it is? You're going to pull rank? I'm stating facts. You love stating facts. It makes you feel superior. It makes me feel like I'm not crazy. You are crazy if you think I'm the problem here. Then who is? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again, but nothing came out. Just the same circular argument we'd been having for months, stripped of all the decoration, laid bare in the fluorescent kitchen light. Get out, I said. She laughed. What? Get out. Go stay with your mom. Go stay with a friend. I don't care, but I'm done with this. You can't kick me out. I just did. You're not serious. But I was. For the first time in months, maybe years, I was completely serious. Not angry, not hurt, just finished. I walked past her, up the stairs to the bedroom, pulled her suitcase from the closet and set it on the bed. She appeared in the doorway. What are you doing? Helping you pack. This is insane. This is overdue. I opened her dresser, grabbed an armful of clothes, dropped them in the suitcase. She rushed forward, tried to grab my arm, but I moved past her, kept packing. Stop it, stop. You wanted other men to take care of you. Go find them. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it? She had no answer. Just stood there watching as I packed her things with the efficiency of someone who'd been planning this moment without realizing it. Clothes, shoes, the toiletries from the bathroom, everything that was hers, separated from everything that was mine. You can't do this, she said. Her voice had changed. Less angry now, almost pleading. I am. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't mean those things. Yes, you did. I zipped the suitcase, carried it downstairs. She followed, still talking, still explaining, still trying to find the words that would make me stop. But there weren't any words left. Just the suitcase by the door and me opening it, and the cool night air rushing in. Go, I said. I don't have anywhere to go. I pulled my wallet out, took the cash inside, $43. Exactly what the groceries had cost. I held it out to her. Buy something nice, I said. She looked at the money, at me, back at the money. For the first time since I'd known her, she was completely silent. Take it, I said. She did, slowly, like she still thought this might be some kind of test. I picked up the suitcase, set it outside the door. She walked past me, stopped on the porch, turned back. You'll regret this, she said. Maybe, but not tonight. I closed the door, locked it, stood there listening to her footsteps on the porch, down the stairs, fading into the street, listened until I couldn't hear them anymore. Then I walked back to the kitchen, looked at the dishes in the sink, the mail on the counter, the empty wine bottle on the steps, my house, my mess, my life. For the first time in months, it felt like mine. The silence lasted maybe 10 seconds before the pounding started. Not knocking, pounding. Her fist against the door hard enough to rattle the frame. Open this door right now. I walked to the kitchen, turned on the faucet, started washing dishes. The water ran hot over my hands. The pounding continued. I said open the door. The pounding stopped. For a moment I thought she'd left. Then I heard her voice, muffled through the door but still clear enough. You can't do this. This is my home too. I rinsed the plate, set it in the drying rack, started on the bowl. I'm calling the police. You can't just throw someone out. The bowl was harder. Something baked on that that required actual effort. I scrubbed harder, felt the resistance give way under the sponge. Fine, be that way, but this isn't over. Footsteps on the porch, down the stairs, silence again. I finished the dishes. All of them. Even the ones that had been sitting there for 3 days. The ones she'd walked past every morning on her way to make coffee. The sink gleamed. The counter was clear. The kitchen looked like a kitchen again, instead of a monument to things left undone. My phone buzzed. A text from her. "You're going to regret this." I deleted it without responding. Another buzz. "I mean it. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. Delete. Answer me." The texts kept coming. Threats, then apologies, then threats again. A cycle that probably would have worked on me yesterday, but tonight, they were just words on a screen, easily dismissed with a swipe of my thumb. I went upstairs, looked at the bedroom. Her side of the closet gaped open where I'd emptied it. The bathroom counter had half the usual clutter. The room felt bigger somehow, like it had been holding its breath and finally exhaled. I stripped the bed, threw the sheets in the washer, made it up fresh. Took a shower that lasted longer than 5 minutes because nobody was waiting to use the bathroom after me. Put on clean clothes. Sat on the edge of the bed and realized I had no idea what to do next. The phone rang. Her name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again and again. On the 4th call, I answered. "What? Thank God. I thought something happened to you. I'm fine. Can we talk about this, like adults?" "There's nothing to talk about." "Of course there is. You're upset, I get it, but we can work through this." "I'm not upset." "Then why did you kick me out?" "Because you told me to find someone else to take care of you, so I'm giving you the chance." "I didn't mean it like that. You know I didn't." "How did you mean it?" Silence. Long enough that I thought she'd hung up. Then her voice came back, different now, harder. "You're really going to do this? Just throw away everything we built?" "What did we build?" "Our life together. Our home. Our marriage. I built those things. You lived in them. That's not fair. It's accurate. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. There's a difference. Where am I supposed to go? You said you had friends. I can't just show up at someone's house with a suitcase." "Why not? You showed up at mine 5 years ago with 2 suitcases and a story about how your last boyfriend didn't appreciate you. That's different." "How?" "Because we were in love." "Were we? Or were you just tired of working?" She hung up. The silence felt louder than the pounding had. I went downstairs, sat at the kitchen table with my laptop, opened the bank account. $8.32. My next paycheck would hit Friday. 3 days. I did the math in my head. Rent was covered. Utilities paid. Car insurance due next week but manageable. Groceries would be tight but possible if I was careful. For one person. The number looked different now. Not drowning, just shallow, manageable, survivable. I opened a spreadsheet, started listing expenses. Not because I had to. Because I wanted to see it laid out in front of me. Proof that the math worked. That one person living carefully could make it on what I earned. That the problem wasn't income. Never had been. The front door rattled. A key in the lock. Her key. The one I'd forgotten about. She pushed inside before I could get up, dragging her suitcase behind her. Her eyes were red, but her jaw was set. "We need to talk." "I thought we did that already." "No, you kicked me out. That's not talking." "What do you want me to say?" "That you're sorry. That you overreacted. That we can fix this." "I'm not sorry." "You will be." "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise. You think you can just throw me away after everything I've given you?" "What have you given me?" She laughed, sharp and bitter. 5 years of my life. 5 years I could have spent with someone who actually appreciated me. You're free to go spend the next 5 wherever you want. This is my house, too. Your name's not on the lease. I've lived here for 3 years. That makes it my house legally. Then call a lawyer. Maybe I will. Good luck affording one. Her expression shifted. Something calculating sliding into place behind the anger. "You think you're so smart. You think you've got it all figured out. I know what I pay for. I know what things cost. That's not smart. That's just paying attention. You keep saying that. Because it's true. You have no idea what you just did." She turned, grabbed her suitcase, dragged it toward the stairs. I stood up. "What are you doing?" "What does it look like? I'm going to bed." "No, you're not. You can't stop me. This isn't your house anymore. Watch me." She started up the stairs. I moved faster, got between her and the bedroom door. "Get out of my way. Get out of my house. Make me." We stood there on the landing, her suitcase between us like a barrier. Neither of us moving, neither of us backing down. "I will call the police," I said quietly. "And tell them what? That your wife came home?" "That someone's trespassing." "I'm not trespassing. I live here. Not anymore." "You can't just decide that." "I already did." Her phone came out. She dialed, put it on speaker. The line rang twice before someone answered. 911, what's your emergency?" "My husband locked me out of our house. I need help getting back inside." The operator's voice stayed calm, professional. "What's the address?" She gave it. I didn't move. "And your name?" She gave that too. "Is anyone in danger?" "No, but he's refusing to let me in." "Is this a shared residence?" "Yes, we're married. We live here together." "Is his name on the lease?" Pause. "Yes." "And yours?" Longer pause. "No, but I've lived here for years. That makes it my home too." "I understand. Officers are on the way. Please wait outside until they arrive." "But it's cold." "I understand, ma'am. Please wait outside for the officers." The line went dead. She looked at me, something triumphant in her expression. "See? They're coming. And when they get here, you're going to look like the bad guy." "Maybe. Definitely." I walked past her, down the stairs, opened the front door, held it. "You should wait outside like she said." "I'm not going anywhere. Then we'll both be here when they show up." She came down the stairs, dragged her suitcase to the couch, sat down with her arms crossed. "This is going to be fun to explain. Should be pretty simple. You think they're going to take your side? I think they're going to look at the lease and ask who pays the rent. They're going to see a man who threw his wife out with nowhere to go. They're going to see a tenant who asked someone to leave their apartment. Keep telling yourself that." We sat in silence. Her on the couch, me at the kitchen table, waiting. The clock on the microwave counted minutes. 7, 10, 12. Red and blue lights flashed through the window. Car doors opened and closed. Heavy footsteps on the porch. The knock was professional, firm, but not aggressive. I opened the door. 2 officers, a man and a woman. Both looked tired. "Evening," the man said. "We got a call about a domestic dispute?" "She's refusing to leave," I said. "That's not what happened," she called from the couch. "He threw me out." The female officer stepped inside, looked at both of us. "Okay, let's everybody stay calm. Can I see some ID from both of you?" We handed over our licenses. The male officer looked at them, looked at me. "And you live here?" "Yes." "How long?" 4 years. "And you?" He looked at her. 3 years. "You both on the lease?" "Just me," I said. The officer nodded slowly, looked at his partner. Something passed between them without words. "Ma'am, do you have somewhere else you can stay tonight?" "No, this is my home." "Is your name on the lease?" "No, but I've lived here for 3 years. Common law." "This isn't a common law state." Her expression faltered. "What?" "Common law marriage isn't recognized here. If your name's not on the lease and he's asking you to leave, legally, this is his residence." "But we're married. Do you have documentation of that?" Silence. "Ma'am, are you legally married?" "Yes." "Do you have documentation of that?" "Our license is upstairs." The female officer nodded. "Okay. Legally, you both have marital rights, but the lease complicates things. We can't force him to let you stay tonight if there's conflict. You'll need to resolve it through civil court." "So what, I'm just supposed to leave?" "We can give you some time to make arrangements. Contact family, find a place to stay, but you do need to leave tonight." She looked at me, waiting for me to change my mind, to tell the officers it was all a misunderstanding, that she could stay. I didn't say anything. She stood up, grabbed her suitcase. The officer stepped aside to let her pass. At the door, she turned back one more time. "You've said that already." "I mean it." "I know." She left. The officers lingered a moment longer. "You okay?" the female officer asked. "Yeah, this kind of thing happens more than you'd think. People assume living together creates legal rights. It doesn't. I didn't know that until tonight." "Well, now you do." She handed me a card. "If she comes back and refuses to leave again, call us. Don't try to handle it yourself." "I won't." They left. I closed the door, locked it, stood in the quiet house that was mine again. The kitchen was still clean. The bed upstairs still had fresh sheets. The bank account still had $8 in it. But the math worked now. The numbers added up. The weight I'd been carrying for months lifted so completely I almost felt dizzy. I sat down at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, looked at the spreadsheet again. Rent, utilities, car insurance, groceries, phone, internet. All of it manageable on what I made. Not comfortable, not luxurious, but possible. I closed the laptop, turned off the lights, went upstairs and got into bed. For the first time in years, I fell asleep before midnight. The first morning arrived with sunlight cutting through blinds nobody had complained were too bright. I woke up at 7 without an alarm, stretched across the entire bed, and realized the house was completely silent. No running water from someone else's shower. No cabinet doors slamming while someone searched for coffee filters I'd bought yesterday. No voice asking what we were doing today, as if we still existed. I made breakfast. Just eggs and toast, nothing complicated. Ate it at the table without anyone asking why I hadn't made enough for 2. Washed the plate immediately after, left nothing in the sink. The afternoon stretched ahead with no shape to it. No errands to run for someone else. No list of things I needed to pick up after work. No guilt about saying no to dinner out when my card was already maxed. I checked the bank account again. Still $8, still 3 days until payday. The number didn't scare me anymore. Around noon, my phone buzzed. Her name on the screen. I watched it ring through to voicemail, then deleted the notification without listening. The apartment felt bigger without her things filling it. The closet had space. The bathroom counter was clear. The living room couch sat empty instead of occupied by someone scrolling through shopping apps while complaining about being bored. I sat down in the spot she used to claim, put my feet up, turned on a game I'd stopped watching because she hated sports. The volume stayed exactly where I set it. Nobody asked me to turn it down. Nobody sighed dramatically about how I never wanted to do anything fun. Nobody handed me their phone to show me something they wanted that cost more than I made in a week. The quiet wasn't empty. It was clean. The kind of peace that doesn't cost anything but means everything.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.